Hello people, let's learn how to crochet this round neck sweater. It's in a size small. So what you're going to need is yarn. First off, I used this male cotton yarn. It's 5 ply. I used 7 of them. You're also going to need a tape measure, a pair of scissors, a hook. I used 3.0 millimeter hook, a darning needle, and a stitch marker. Once again, welcome back to my channel. So to begin, you're going to work 2 panels. I've already worked my first panel, and I'll be working with you my second panel. So these are just basic single crochets in back loops and slip stitches. Start by making a slip knot and then make a long chain equivalent to your measurements, to your size. For my case, I chained 100. I chained 100, and remember my sweater is in a size small. So your chains should be equivalent to your size from your shoulders to your waist. Okay? When you complete, just chain 1 and then turn your work. So for the first row, we're going to be working normal single crochets and slip stitches. Okay, we're going to start with slip stitches, 10 of them. That's for the ribbing at the waist. So you're going to work 10 slip stitches before we work single crochets. Sorry about that. So you're going to work 10 slip stitches and then we continue with single crochets. Okay, remember to mark your work. After you work 10 slip stitches, you can mark your last slip stitch. After working 10 slip stitches, remember to mark your last slip stitch, or if you have no problem remembering where your last slip stitch is, that's okay, but I'll advise you mark it. After your 10th slip stitch, continue with single crochets to the end of the row. After your 10th slip stitch, continue with single crochets to the end of the row. These are normal single crochets, so they're not so hard. I'm here at the end of the row, so I'm just going to complete my row. I'm going to complete, then after you complete, you chain 1 and then turn your work. So that's how you actually be looking like as for now. So chain 1 and then turn your work. So from the second row to the last, we're going to be working in back loops, but for the first stitch we're going to work in 2 loops. We're going to work in 2 loops here, then we continue in back loops only. So we work in 2 loops, then we continue in back loops only. So from here to the end of the row, we are going to be working in back loops. Okay, so those are back loops. You're going to be working in back loops to the end of the row. Remember your ribbing. Remember the 10 slip stitches that you made, so you work 10 slip stitches again in back loops. So this is supposed to be a mini tutorial. I will not be showing you much, but up to this point I believe we all know what to do, like we are familiar with the pattern. So after you complete every row, you chain 1 then turn. Remember to work in back loops only. For the slip stitches, you work slip stitches in back loops. For single crochets, it's single crochets in back loops. So I'm going to show you how you'll make the first shoulder, then the chest, and then the other shoulder. Okay, I'll just show you. So this is my panel. As I told you, it's a size small sweater. It's a size small sweater. So you're going to work this first, the shoulder, and then you'll work the chest, and then you'll work the other shoulder. So I'm just going to take the measurements to show you the measurements that I worked with. So my shoulder is 6.5 inches, and the other one is 6.5 inches again, and then my chest is 6. It's supposed to be 6 inches. Yeah, so my chest is 6 inches, and the panel should give me 19 inches. The whole panel should be 19 inches. So the circumference of my sweater is 38 inches. Okay, remember the measurements are for a size small or maybe medium small fitting. Yeah, that can do also. So go ahead and work your first shoulder. I'm going to work mine, and then I'll come back to show you how it will be looking like. Okay, back again, and this is my shoulder so far, and this is how it's looking like. So to work your neck part or the chest part, you'll have to work to leave like 5 or 4 stitches incomplete, unworked. Yeah, unworked. So those are 5 stitches. I normally leave 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, those are for now. And then I'll just chain 1 and turn my work. So the pattern is still the same. The only difference here is we're going to be working now in complete rows. You're going to be leaving the 4 stitches. Okay, so the pattern is still the same. The pattern is the same. The only difference is we are working the chest part, so we're leaving the 4 stitches unworked. Okay, otherwise the pattern is still the same. So I think you just go ahead and work this part, the inches that you wish to work. For me, I'm going to work 6 inches. Then I'll be back again to show you how to continue with the other shoulder. Okay, yeah, back again. And so far this is my chest part. Okay, I don't know what happened to my phone. I don't know how I held the camera, but it's okay. I believe it's clear enough for you to see. So you remember the 4 stitches that we left. We're going to chain 4, 2, 3, and 4, and then we're going to chain 1, and then turn. So the pattern is still the same. We're going to work 4 single crochets. We're going to work 4 single crochets in the 4 stitches, and then we continue working in back loops. Yeah, we continue working in back loops just as we were doing before. So the pattern is still the same. So we're just going to continue working in back loops until we complete the rows. So from here, I'm going to leave you to go ahead and work this shoulder, this shoulder, and then when I come back, I'll come back with the whole panel done, so that we can now join the 2 panels together and then work our sleeves. My second panel is done. I believe you've worked your first one, so go ahead and work the second one, and then after you complete, just cut your yarn and have them placed on your table with the wrong side facing each other. I'm still having a problem with my camera, but it's okay. So I'm joining my work. I always join with slip stitches, but you can use any method. Any method can work. You can use a darning needle or single crochets, whichever way you like, but for me I prefer slip stitches because they blend in so well. I'm going to join up to where I put a stitch marker. So go ahead and join the rest of the panel. Okay, you're just going to join up to where you left you put your stitch marker. So I'll join mine up to where I put my stitch marker, and then I'll leave the armholes, then join the other side. I'll just join the other side again and work my shoulders also. I'll join them together so that when I come back, I'll just be coming back to show you how to attach the sleeves. Okay, so just a bit of me joining the shoulders. I joined from the outside. I always join my work from the outside using a darning needle, but you can join from wherever side you want, and you can use either slip stitches or you can use a darning needle, whichever way you prefer. Okay, as for me, I prefer a darning needle here because it just works well for me. So I'll just go ahead and complete, then come back. We work the sleeves, we attach the sleeves. Okay, you can see how clean it looks when you join from outside down using a darning needle. It's so clean. So we're going to go ahead and attach our sleeves. I always work my sleeves from the body. Yeah, I don't work parts then attach later. No, I always work them from the body. So we're going to work single crochets around the yeah, we're going to work this. We're going to work single crochets around. Yeah, before we attach. Okay, that's just how I work, but it's optional. You can choose to just start by chaining a long chain for the sleeve, but I prefer working single crochets before I chain the long chain for the sleeve. Okay, so after completing the single crochets, you just join. You join, then make a long chain for the sleeve. For my case, I'm going to chain 80. I'm going to chain 80. So here I have my chain already, my long chain ready. So the pattern is still the same as the body. The pattern is still the same. So we're going to work 10 slip stitches. Then we continue with single crochets. Okay. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you just confirm 10 slip stitches, then you continue with single crochets. Okay, so these are my 10 slip stitches. So I'll just go ahead and work my single crochets. You can put a stitch marker if you'll have a problem. If you'll have a problem remembering where your last slip stitch is, you just put a stitch marker. So I'll just go ahead and continue with single crochets all through. So go ahead and work your way up. I'll meet you here to show you how to join all the borders. So right here, I'll just complete my row before I join them. Then here is where I remained. You too have your stitch marker to put your stitch marker in the last single crochet, so that when you turn your work, you will know where your first stitch starts from. Okay, so you just mark your last single crochet, before attaching. So you're attaching 2 slip stitches. That's 1 slip stitch in one stitch, and then 2 in the next stitch. Then when you turn your work, your first stitch is where you put your stitch marker. Okay, your first stitch is where you put your stitch marker. So do not forget. Yeah, the 2 slip stitches that you made on the border are not working stitches. So your first stitch is your last single crochet. So from row 2 to row last, we're going to work in back loops. So the pattern is familiar, as by now it should be familiar. So there is a small difference that we're going to work on the curves. That's we're going to work reduction on the curves, but it's not even difficult. It's so simple. So I'm right here at the curve to show you how to work reduction. So just go ahead and complete my single crochets and leave. So for reductions, you leave the cuff part. You only work the sleeve and leave the cuff. Okay, so I'm going to leave the cuff, the 10 slip stitches I won't work in. I'm just going to turn my work, and then I won't chain 1. I'll just begin with single crocheting into loops into loops, and then continue in back loops. Okay, so the reason why I don't chain 1 is so that I can avoid spaces at the joining area. Yeah, so that I can avoid spaces at the joining area. So just go ahead and complete this row. I'll again meet you at the border to show you how to join for the last time, to attach on the border, I mean. Yeah, so I'm right here again at the border. So just remember to mark your last single crochet. Remember to mark your last single crochet before attaching on the border. Okay, then when attaching, you always attaching 2 stitches. You slip stitch in the first, then in the next. So that's first, that's 1, and then that's 2. And then when you turn your work, where you put your stitch marker is your first stitch. So you always work where you put your stitch marker. Okay, in your last single crochet. So from row 2 to row last, again we're working in back loops. So the pattern is still the same as the body. The only difference with the sleeves is that we're working reduction on the curves, which is not even so difficult. So just go ahead and complete your work. I'll meet you here. So I'm right here again. Now the last stitch, yeah, the reduction stitch, you'll work in 2 loops. Yeah, you work in 2 loops, then you continue with slip stitches. So as you can see my work, there's no space left. There is no space left. Yeah, so you just continue with slip stitches and complete your row. So after you're done, you chain 1, then turn your work. You work 1 complete row, then in one incomplete row. Yeah. So before I leave you to go ahead and complete the rest of the sleeve, I want you to remember that you'll be working one complete row, then one incomplete at the cuff. Okay, you work one complete, then one incomplete. You leave 10 slip stitches. When you come back, you complete. Then you come again, you leave 10 slip stitches. When you come back, you complete. Okay, then on the border, you just remember to attach in 2 stitches on the border. Then your first row, your first working stitch is always your last single crochet. Okay, so I'll just leave you to go ahead and complete the rest of the sleeve. Then when I come back, we will be joining it together. Okay, yeah, so I'm back with my sleeve. It's done. You can see the cuff, it's a bit smaller. So again, just as I joined the body using slip stitches, that's how I'm going to join my sleeve together. So it's not so complicated. So just join with either a darning needle, or you can join with slip stitches like me. Okay, so I always find joining to be the easiest part. That's why I don't show much of it. So up to this point, I'm going to leave you to go ahead and join your sleeve. Yeah, complete joining. Then you work the other sleeve, you join it again. Then when we meet, we will be working the neck. Yeah, so yeah, just go ahead and complete. So I had already worked my other sleeve. My other sleeve is already done. As you can see, it's done. So you'll work your other sleeve, then when you come back, we will be working the neck. So I'm back again. Now let's complete our work with the neck. So for the neck, I don't really work single crochets around. I just start with chaining 4. You remember we left 4 stitches. Yeah, 4 stitches that we were leaving incomplete. We're going to chain 4, then plus 1. That's 1, then plus 1. So for the neck, we're going to work slip stitches all through. For the neck, we're going to work slip stitches all through, and this is a round neck. So if you want to work a full neck, you can chain a longer chain. You can make a longer chain, then you can work now either single crochets only, because if you work slip stitches only, that it will be small, it won't fit. So the neck is similar to the sleeve. I mean, joining on the borders is similar with the sleeve, so it's just slip stitches in back loops, 3 and 4, you chain 1 and then turn, you again slip stitch, so for the neck you just chain 4 and then you work slip stitches all through. Okay, so for the neck it's not very complicated. They're just slip stitches, normal slip stitches in back loops. Okay, and so far so good. This is how your work should be looking like. Yeah, this is how your work should be looking like. So just go ahead and complete the rest of it and then you join it together. Go ahead and complete, then join it together. Yeah, so here is my sweater. It's all done, as you can see. I'll just go ahead and try it on, then I'll be back. So that's me. I tried the sweater on and let me tell you, I love everything about this sweater. The texture is so smooth, the colors, man, just look at it. It's so pretty and it's super warm. I hope you enjoyed making yours, even though it was meant to be a mini tutorial with less detail. So I hope you understood and you made yours. So I can't wait to see what you will recreate. See you again in the next tutorial. Bye.